On a hot summer night, when sleep seems impossible, how cooling this looks and feels. That's how cool your face can feel with Breeze Fresh.
Hi, alright?
How are you? Are you eating well?
Yes, Mum, yeah. Well, funny you should mention that actually, because just the other day I saw an article about the benefits of eating raw foods. Yeah, I was gonna give that a whirl.
Oh, fantastic. In that case, you should pay a visit to Ceres Natural Food.
Alright, what do they sell then?
They sell everything you would expect a health food shop to sell. And a whole bunch of things you probably wouldn't expect too. But if you want to incorporate more raw food into your diet, then you should try lentils.
Yeah, okay.
And chickpeas.
Uh-huh.
And mung beans.
Anything else?
Yep. Bulgur, wild rice and tofu.
Alright.
Quinoa.
I think I'll go to Ceres then. Right, here we are then. Got back from Ceres. First thing I did is I got all my freshly bought whole foods, dried whole foods, and I soaked those that need to be soaked. So I've got lentils over here, we've got mung beans here, looking beautiful. We've got a little bit of chickpeas as well, and we've also got our rice, our bulgur, our quinoa, tofu, we've got some wild rice, cheeky wild rice as well. Okay, so how to prepare lentils. Here we have two different varieties of lentils to give you a little flavour. These are red split lentils and pre-lentils as well. Now the red split lentils are great for boiling and having with various different types of meals. Here I've soaked some overnight. You need to give them a minimum of around about 8 to 10 hours, but overnight's ideal. And if you're going to boil them, it's around about two cups of water for every cup of lentils. However, if you want to sprout your lentils, you'll need some of these bad boys, which are whole lentils. For demonstration's sake, I've got pre-lentils here, which are really nice, have a good flavour. Bring the water to the boil and add your lentils, turn the heat down, and if your lentils are pre-soaked, they just take 5 minutes. If you haven't pre-soaked them, then simmer them for 25 minutes. If you're boiling whole lentils, then use 3 cups of water for every 1 cup of lentils and simmer for a further 45 minutes rather than 25. And don't forget to rinse them well before you serve them. Mung beans. You can sprout them, soak them, boil them. Here's some that I've left for soaking for about 24 hours now, and they're ready to be boiled on the stove. And you can add them to stock, stews, you name it, they go with anything. Mung beans are also really great for sprouting. For best results, I've used a mini greenhouse like this one here, which has several different tiers, so you can put larger beans like butter beans that take longer to sprout at the bottom, and smaller sprouters like mung beans and quinoa at the top. So while you wait for the larger, slower beans, you can harvest the small sprouts. All you do is spread a thin layer of beans on each shelf and fill the top with water twice a day, giving it 10 minutes each time for the water to drain through. Then you pour away the excess water. For mung beans, you repeat this process for 4 days, and on the 4th day you'll wait for some beautiful little mung sprouts. Great for stir fries. If you don't want to wait 5 days or 4 days, then you can always boil your mung beans. It's just 3 cups of water for every 1 cup of mung beans you use. So boil the water, add the mung beans, turn the heat right down and simmer for 45 minutes to an hour, or until they're nice and soft. You should be able to, when they're finished, take them out and crush them quite easily, get a nice paste out of them when they're done. And don't forget, before you serve, to rinse them thoroughly. Okay, chickpeas. Now if you're cooking chickpeas from dry like this, then you will need to boil them for somewhere between 1 and 2 hours, which is fine, but that kind of cook time can really leach a lot of nutrients from the chickpea. So it's best to soak your chickpeas overnight. These have been soaking for around about 24 hours, which is ideal, but you need a minimum of about 8 to 10, which would be just fine. And if you don't want to use them all in the same batch, then you can keep them in the fridge soaking for up to 4 days. That's absolutely fine. Take little bits out of them whenever you want to cook them. When it comes to cooking your chickpeas, it's around about 3 cups of water for every 1 cup of chickpeas you use. Boil them on the stove, boil the water on the stove, add the chickpeas, turn the heat down and let them simmer for around about 45 minutes to an hour. And if you're unsure if they're done, just scoop some out and you should be able to crush into a paste quite nicely, quite easily. Alternatively, chickpeas are great for sprouting. but make sure your chickpeas are from a reliable wholesaler, because some packaged chickpeas have been heat processed or even irradiated to extend their shelf life, and this kills the food and it will never sprout. So not only is this true of chickpeas, but mung beans, any kind of pulses and grains you can find. So what I've done here is I've sprouted my chickpeas in this mini greenhouse, spreading a thin layer on each shelf, and all you do is twice a day, at least twice a day, is pour water through the greenhouse, which I'm going to do now, and just to give you a display. Just fill it up about halfway or 3/4 of the way up, and now it has these little red filtration devices. Make sure they're on opposing sides on each layer, so the water has to go from one edge to the other. It just means they spend a little bit extra time in the water. Should only take about 10 minutes for it to drain through, and then it'll be ready for the water to be poured away, and you can put them back in their dark cupboard so they can keep sprouting. But these are just about ready to go, and you can put them on stir fries, spread them into salads, any old food and seasoning you can think of really, and they're fantastic for.